Imagine how, I know I'm insane. Imagine how incompetent you have to be to run a company to the ground, to the point where it has to file bankruptcy. Imagine how incompetent you have to be a millionaire, calling yourself a millionaire, a billionaire, and filing for bankruptcy. As far as I'm concerned, those two words should never be in the same phrase, sentence, or paragraph. Millionaire, rich person, and bankruptcy. Those words should not be anywhere together. Millionaire, billionaire, trillion, I don't care who you are. You should not be able to file bankruptcy. That's my personal opinion. Again, I might be absolutely insane. But imagine how incompetent you have to be to run your company into the ground. So you have to file bankruptcy. And I really think there should be a penalty for people who have successful companies and then run them into the ground. There should be a penalty. There should be a personal penalty. They should be footing some of that bill. The government should not be the only one footing the bill, aka the people. You, taxpayers, should not be footing that bill, especially if the person is a millionaire after their company filed bankruptcy. That makes no fucking sense. If your company's filing bankruptcy, your ass who own it and the CEO should be paying penalties. That's just my personal opinion. You shouldn't be a millionaire after you file bankruptcy. That makes no fucking sense. None. And if that makes sense to you, you're part of the problem. But imagine how incompetent you have to be. Not only to run your company into bankruptcy, but to run a country. Let me get a little closer. Imagine how incompetent you have to be to run a country, the wealthiest country in the world. Let that sink in. Imagine how incompetent you have to be to run the most successful country in the world. So close to bankruptcy. Right now, at the recording of this video, the United States is probably like 2 steps away from bankruptcy. Imagine how incompetent you have to be to run a state, not only a country, but let's forget about a country for a second. Imagine how incompetent you have to be to run a state into bankruptcy. Because remember, there's like 2 or 3 states that's already filing bankruptcy. Can you imagine how incompetent you have to be? States quite literally produce, oh my goodness, I don't think I'll be able to explain this properly. But let that simmer in your head for a little bit. How incompetent you have to be to run a state filled with over 1 million people into the state of bankruptcy. The state have no money to pay its bills. When you have millionaires and billionaires living in that state, can you imagine how the sheer level of incompetence I don't think I'll be able to cover that. But there are states in the richest country in the world don't have money to pay their bills. Let that mull that over for a minute before you respond. That makes no sense to me. But hey, you do you.